amazing day. You join me on the 4th of December. It's a nice fresh day, it's nice and cool / cold. There's a huge storm brewing behind me, and I thought I'd take you on a little adventure because I had a couple of people actually ask me whether I still go down to that stream. You would have seen in my older videos, I used to take the dogs down to a stream, pitch up the tent there. I've made some A-frames down there and the rest of it, and I still do go there, but I haven't filmed it so much, so I thought I'd take you on a little adventure with me today. I'm going to take you back down there. You're going to see the river, you're going to see hopefully the A-frame if it's still there. There's no mountain hiking today. I'm not going to be doing any of that today, I'm keeping it low. However, the mountains are looking spectacular. There is a slight dusting of snow just on the tops of the very big mountains. I'm going to try and show you here in a second. There's a few trees in the way here, but we have the snow. Actually, Carrauntooh's in the clouds, but this is Carrauntooh just there. And then we have that place now. This is the big stack, and you have Knock Na Pista behind it. So these two mountains here, there's that lake in the middle. That's where I've been up swimming, found the plane wing, pitched a tent. That's in that area there. And literally, I've only been walking 5 minutes from my house. So this is how close I am to the Eastern Reeks. This is the whole Eastern Reeks here, and a bit more over this side. But it's literally behind me. So I'm really blessed. This is why I'm always in the hills. It's on my doorstep. It is the back garden. So we're going to head down to the stream. We're going to check it out. See if we can pitch up, well, hopefully the A-frame's still there. If it's not, we're going to make another one. I'm also going to see if we can maybe get a little fire going, just to relax for the weekend. Nothing crazy. Time like this is nice, just to switch off, reset, plan the next week ahead, and yeah, let's see what happens. So my A-frame should be there. It is. It's down there. Just about. There it is. So you can just about see it through. It's still standing. That's pretty cool. And there's the river, and it's literally just bucketed down with hail. So this is perfect Tony weather. I love this. It's cold, cool / cold. I'm going to get this fire going. Hopefully we got the shelter there. I'm just going to enjoy it and switch off. So again, this is the old stream. I really come down here a fair bit. I would take my dogs down here. They're not with me today though. We're just going for a nice stroll on our own. They tend to go off on their own adventure, and when this river is quite rapid, they like to cross it, and sometimes a little bit worried that they may get caught up in it. So I'm on my own today. And again, if you used to follow this river / stream all the way up, it actually takes you to the top of the Eastern Reeks. You can, in summer, you can actually walk this all the way up. I've done it before, but I didn't film it and I didn't go all the way. But here we are. Now I have to keep this place disclosed. Unfortunately, I can't really give away where this is because this is actually private land, and I have permission from the owner to use it. And again, I've been coming here years, so it's a gorgeous spot, but it is a private area. And here we are. This is it. So this is where I pitch up the tent when I don't have the A-frame. We need to do a little bit of work on it. You see, the beauty about these things is if you manage to get the moss into contact with the ground, it actually adds a little bit of stabilization to it, and it prevents it from rotting. So this does stay green throughout the year because it starts to root into the ground at the bottom. Here is the hail. Don't know if you can see it, but it is coming down. And then I tend to find there's a few deer on this side. They come down to the bank and they'll drink. And if the wind is blowing downstream here, you can actually sit here and watch them. And then if you're very, very still, they won't know that you're there. So the water isn't too bad today. It's not too high. Let's have a look at it. Yep, I mean, there's a spot right there which is quite nice and deep. I'd often go in there for a bathe. We'll see how we get on today. And then there's the island there in the middle. And here we are. So this is it. This is my spot. And it is hailing, but I love this. I think this is great. And there's the A-frame right behind me. We're going to try and set the tent, sorry, the fire right there. And yeah, just enjoy it. Okay, so the skies are clearing. The hailstorm seems to be over. There's a little bit of grey cloud over here. But I've got a small section of wood here, but this is another really important part you want to remember as well. When you're making your fire, especially if you're living in places like England and Ireland and the UK, we're prone to getting lots of rain. So worst case scenario, it's going to bucket down with rain, you're going to lose your fire, which you spent a long time doing. This is just a little technique I worked on a few years back, and it does work. You want to take a nice big piece of wood like this, and you're trying to try and basically cross the fire. Now this is very wet, so this won't burn, and you see how excuse me, see how low it is to the fire. I'm not planning on making a big fire today, so this is perfectly ideal. If it's any higher, then you're going to get wind and rain coming underneath. I've connected it to my frame at the top here. It's going to run down to the ground here. I could also support some stones here to lift it if I needed to, but this is fine. And there's just a couple of notches on here as well. And what we're going to do now is take a lot of green foliage, which is all over here, like the holly, which is obviously full of water, and that's going to protect the fire. So it's going to act like a shelter, and at the same time it's not going to burn if the flames were going to get too high. So this is what I really do each time I make a fire. Sometimes I'll have two joists here, so I'll have one here and then I'll have one here if I haven't made an A-frame, and it just basically protects the fire. And I have been in adventures where it's bucket down with rain, but because I've had this, it's kept the flames going throughout the night. So that's the next step. We've got to get the foliage, sling it onto here, and then we're going to get this fire going. So you have a small selection of holly here. You notice again it's very green, it's not going to burn, and it's directly underneath the fire here. So it's a little bit of protection here. There's our little beam going across, connected to the A-frame, and we're good to go. So we're going to get the fire going. We're protected in case it rains. Hopefully it doesn't. Let's do this. Okay, so I didn't manage to show you me lighting the fire. It took a bit longer than I had planned, but the fire is going now. We've got a nice abundance of the small twigs here. You can just about see it there. You notice now the flames are just kicking off here to the left, which means the wind is coming in from this direction here. So what you want to make sure you're doing is, if you check the flame, you see it's kicking off slightly, build up the opposite side so the wind isn't coming in, it's going to take the flame out. So now I'm going to build up this side here to prevent that flame from going out. It's going nice. Again, not the big fire, this is going to be a big one, but just to give you an idea now, just keep me a little bit comfortable and warm, even though it's not that cold. But I have to keep moving. This is always the most challenging part, keeping that flame going. It can go out quite quick. It's picking up nicely now though. Good times, let's go. Okay, so there's plenty of this small wood round here, and I'm still going, I'm still getting the fire going, but it has worked out nicely. So it's not too much of a big flame, but it's doing the job. There's a nice bit of heat coming from it. But it is one of them things where you have to keep going, you've got to keep moving, you've got to keep putting the wood on the fire. But it pays off. It really pays off. Like, it isn't particularly that cold, but it does do the job. Now, there's another little trick I'm going to show you there in a second. I just have a bit more wood to put on, and I'm going to show you a great technique I've used again for a long time. You basically want to stop you from having to keep doing this all evening. Once you've got your fire established, you want to take a nice sized branch, small log, and you basically want to feed it through the fire. It's a very simple method, and actually there's a machine now that can do it for you. Not that you'd ever take a machine into the woods, but for some reason they've made one. You basically get a big log, and you start, say you'd put the log here, feed through here, and you just literally turn it, and you feed it through, and it just basically keeps the fire going. I'll show you when I get there, but it is beginning to hail again, so now you're going to see the benefit of having that. This is why it's really important to protect the fire, because the weather can change at any minute. And even though this kindling is very small, it's actually producing a nice amount of heat, and it's also very slightly damp on the outside, so it doesn't burn as quick as completely dry wood. I keep pricking myself with the thorns, but it's great for clearing up all the dead vegetation as well. And of course, when this is all finished, this fire will be completely put out, completely put out. There we are. So again, just topped up there with a few more of the branches. You notice now the smaller kindling at the bottom. There's a big chunky one there, but it's slightly damp. This is on top. Now it doesn't look like it's actually that big, but it is going. The camera's not really picking it up, but there are some nice flames on the fire there. And yeah, we had a small storm kick in, but it wasn't enough to put us off. But yeah, there we are. Now, the thing I was talking about earlier with the wood, you want to try and make sure you have a nice chunky piece of wood. Now, this is only a small fire, so it doesn't have to be a huge log, because that won't work. And you also want to make sure that it's dry. I'm just showing you now this because I won't be using it today, but this is what I was talking about. If you can find yourself a nice branch like that there, it's not too thick. For this fire, it's ideal. For this fire here, this would be ideal. And you literally want to maybe cut about halfway point. And when again the fire's established, you literally take the branch and feed it through. Now, I've done this for a while. This does work. You literally just let it sit down on top of the fire there, and the flames will begin to take the moisture off. If it's slightly damp, then it'll start to slightly burn through, and then you have a nice flame there. And then you just literally keep feeding this branch all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. It's really a nice cheat to make sure you keep your flame going, and you're not really doing too much work. You're just literally shifting the branch every 10 or so minutes. And that does work. And it's obviously in scale with the fire. It's a small fire, it's a small branch. Obviously, the bigger the fire, the bigger the branch you'd want. But I mean, this is ideal now for now. It's a nice day. There are gunshots in the background, slightly concerning. There is someone firing. I think it's over on this side here, but we're okay, I think. There we are. So I'm just going to enjoy this now for the next couple of hours, and just make the most of it. This is such a nice thing to be able to do. If you're fortunate enough to have this on your doorstep, you have to get out there. And again, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. You've got the right clothing on, the weather's never a problem. And it isn't that cold. This is now producing some really nice heat as well. And we're protected. The branch isn't even black because it's very, very wet. And here's our shelter in case we get another downpour, which we did have, but it didn't take the fire out. Look at that go now, she's roaring. So there we are. So another good thing about making a rig like this with the branch is, again, if you have some wood which is fairly wet and you know if you put it on the fire it's going to take the flames out, you dry them. So I mean, these now are quite wet. I can see the steam. It's not smoke, there's steam coming off these now, so that the water is actually evaporating and it's not really affecting the fire, plus also acts as a little bit of protection. So this wood now again is wet, too wet to go on the fire, but it's drying out, and then eventually it will go onto the fire here. Now, we've lost a couple of our leaves, but that's going to happen. But I have had to move this around slightly, so I had to reposition the holly. But all in all, I mean, this is working a treat. It's working really, really well here. I used the flint to start the fire. I was very lucky. It doesn't always work, but I was very lucky to find some very, very dry tinder that was on the branches over here. And it did go. Plus there was a couple of dead leaves as well, so I crimpled all that up and it worked. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on camera because I was trying to concentrate so much on that. Usual story. But there we are. So I've got to keep the fire going. You can see already it's starting to drop very, very slightly. That's how quick these things go out. But I haven't been doing this constantly. I have been actually enjoying it and sitting here and just appreciating what I have with the views and the rest of it. But it's great to go back to your roots, as it was, especially if you're a lad now and you like the outdoors. I mean, I love being outdoors, so this is perfect. Sometimes I would stay here overnight. I'm not going to be doing that this evening. I will just be staying here for another hour or so, and then I'm going to be heading back. I have a few things to do, but this is a nice spot now to relax for the evening. And like I said, you can sometimes hear the deer next door, which is quite amazing. And they'll come down to the stream and they'll drink. And yeah, stunning. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I need 2 hands. Alright guys, there we have it. It's been really nice way just to switch off. We've got the flame, we've got the shelter, which I haven't even used yet. But it's been really nice. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Something slightly different. And yes, I do still come down here fairly often. I just don't film it so much. So there's going to be a couple more adventures coming very, very soon. We're going to try and get back up onto Torkmansa for New Year. Look at that. I do it every year, but with COVID now I stopped advertising it with the group, so I used to take a nice group of people up there, but I'm going to be going up there with maybe a smaller group, maybe the Mountain Goats. But oh, it's lovely. But that's the plan anyway. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Please remember to like and subscribe if you like the content. Again, there's much more of this on the way. And have a lovely evening. How about that?